Hey everyone, it's Kim Tonic here. We're going to be replacing a Pedestal sink today. The old one, couldn't figure out what was leaking. We checked all the two water lines coming up underneath. I checked the drain and there was no obvious leak that you could see, but when you'd run the water it would start dripping and I couldn't figure out why. I'll show you in the pictures what happened, but you can see, as you can see, this sink here, how it's got this around here. Well, the old one had just a thin layer right here, and the Pedestal sat in here, and they must have thickened it up on the newer ones, because now this is a lot thicker. And the old one had broke. It must have been from somebody putting weight, pushing down on the sink, and it cracked this right through, which really caused an issue, because your overflow, I don't know if you can see, but your overflow right in here runs all the way down and through and into this cavity. So with being broke here, it was leaking right out. So we're going to get started with putting the old faucet back in. Look, I cleaned up the old faucet and I put some WD on the threads, and we stuck it in here, and we tighten up these wing nuts here, or these flange nuts, whatever you call them. Finger tight. It's pretty good, but if you can get a little nudge on them with a wrench, it can be done. And so there you have that. Now we have our faucet already installed. Now we're going to go ahead and put the drain spout in. I went and got a new one of those. It's for a lift drain rod, designated for a bathroom sink. I used a little bit of plumber's putty on the opposite side to put the chrome top, or the drain bottom in, and a little bit of Teflon tape around this spot that threads right into it. The putty's not real necessary, but I like to use it for a seal. You get that started. You gotta be careful you don't cross thread it. Get that in there. Like so. Try to get it as straight as possible. And then it's tight. And this part's a rubber seal. Make sure that's snug up there. So there you go, we have all that installed. This part you can deal with later. That'd be your lift rod for your drain. Goes in here. Okay, now it's time to put this drain stopper in, and you can see how it's offset. You want the offset side facing towards the back of the wall, and I find it easier to do it while the sink's out. But if it's dropped all the way in there, then I can see where the hole is. You can feel when you grab it that it's in there. So, and you stick your push rod in with the short end of the ball. As the ball is a seal. You stick that in, make sure it sits in there, and then you just snug this down. The ball should seal it. Then you have this thing here, it's adjustable. That's when this pull tab from the top goes in. There's the new one. Get that in there. And then you'll have to adjust that. Straight. Put the keeper on. You'll have to get it adjusted. I'm going to leave it for now because it's only hand tight. But I want to tighten this one before I set the sink. Because we're going to be setting the sink to find these two holes right here in the wall, which was never done before. That way the sink will be a lot more sturdy to the wall. All right, I've temporarily put the pedestal in place. I haven't hooked up none of the plumbing yet, because when it comes time for that, you'll have to raise the sink up to get the pedestal in. Right now it's resting on the pedestal. So I used the existing brackets that were to the old sink, because this was an exact match, and you could see where they had modified the bottom so that somebody can't lean on it and bust that through again. So now that it's in position where it's going to stay, I'm going to mark these two bolt holes where the bolts are going to go in the wall. And then that way, as you can see, everything's mounted. This push rod here is going to hit the wall, so I may have to shorten this a tad bit. But anyways, now that I got them holes marked, and those should theoretically be level. Those holes, you could test it with a level. But now I got to get a drill and drill through this tile. That should be fun. All right, got everything hooked up. You really need to have it's a hard spot to get at up in there. So you almost cannot do this job without a special plumber's wrench for faucets, so you can get up in behind there without seeing and feel it and do it. But anyways, I ran a bead of caulk around here, as you can see, and before I put the bolts in the sink, I should be able to raise this up enough to slide this in there. And so when this sits on there, you've got quite a caulk. And there you go. Should be all set. And I suggest running it caulk up around here even after you get it in place. Well, there you have it. And it's a pain in the ass, trust me. But that's got it done. Well, it's finished. Caulked around the top, as you can see. Got my bolt in underneath here. As you can see, bolted in there like that on both sides. And this is an unusual situation anyway, because the sink, usually your drain pipe would go through the wall. This one goes down and around and over, back behind the toilet, and then there's a drain there. So this was probably an add-on or something, and usually you won't find too many like this. So, but anyways, there you go. It's finished. Works good. Everything's working. So, hope you all found this helpful. Give it a thumbs up. And we'll hopefully see you on the next one.